to the customer's order when making it. According to later reports, she licked the cheese for the burger and then proceeded to wipe menstrual blood onto the sandwich, allegedly disguising this stuff with the condiment. Sky's co-worker witnessed all of this, and when she went home, immediately told her mother about the incident, who then proceeded to make a post on Facebook, warning any patrons that had ordered food from the restaurant in a specific window of time that their order may have been tampered with in a serious way. The victim had reported Sky, intending to get her in trouble for her poor customer service, but after seeing the post, put two and two together and reported the incident to the authorities. According to an article by KFOR News, the mother of the co-worker who had initially reported the tampering was fired a few days later, implying that Jax had attempted to cover up the whole thing. However, this rumor was dispelled once it was revealed the employee in question was actually terminated for stealing food. Once the news became public knowledge, a wave of disgust swept through the internet, as many were horrified picturing the event in their minds. It goes without saying that Sky would be fired immediately from her position, but the story doesn't end there. This wasn't a simple prank gone wrong, it was a serious health code violation that could potentially land her in prison for up to 5 years. She eventually did turn herself into police after a warrant was issued, willingly allowing herself to be arrested. However, she was soon released on a $5,000 bond. Interestingly, according to the Daily Mail, the girl had previously worked at a Krispy Kreme nearby, but was terminated for reasons that weren't exactly clear. Hopefully she didn't add some of her own custom frosting to a strawberry donut. A spokesperson for Jax released a lengthy statement expressing their concern regarding the ordeal.
Jax sent out this statement saying in part, "Food safety is our top priority at Jax Family Restaurants. The company takes any claims of improper food handling very seriously." Recently, an audio tape recording was posted on social media claiming that an employee at the restaurant in Columbus essentially violated our stringent food handling standards. The employee allegedly involved in this incident was terminated several days ago for unrelated reasons and no longer works for the company. The restaurant received an A rating. At this point, Jack's internal investigation is ongoing, and the company will do everything it can to assist authorities with their own investigation.
The story gained so much traction that Sky was covered by the Breakfast Club and was deemed Donkey of the Day by Charlemagne the God.
Let me get a bite of that period patty.
Yeah.
I'll have a menstrual cycle with cheese, please. Hold the pickles. Sky,
Yeah.
I don't know where you're eligible to work after this. Okay, you need to go to college and this is by far one of the worst things to ever have to write on a job application. Have you ever been convicted or arrested of a crime? If so, what? Yes, I got arrested for putting period blood on people's burgers.
Nothing wrong with that, brother.
Sky was eventually sentenced to 1 year in prison in late 2017, which is pretty nuts because in a lot of these fast food cases, most of the people just end up getting fired. Very rarely do they break the law and get time served, but that's the case with this one. The story of Hitler Fried Chicken. In 2013, a man from London was on vacation in Bangkok, Thailand, when he came across a curious fast food restaurant. He took a photo of the place and published his findings to the internet, where the photo would then be shared to Twitter by a man named Andrew Spooner. Spooner's tweet quotes the Londoner who discovered it, quote, "Very bizarre fried chicken shop in Thailand. I kid you not, complete with a picture of Hitler in a bow tie." Taking a look at the image, we see that the fast food joint had apparently swapped the face of Colonel Sanders with that of the genocidal Führer, and was using Hitler to further its chicken-selling goals. And what you might find surprising is that this restaurant was said to have been somewhat popular with locals, getting rave reviews. Hitler Chicken had opened in June of 2013, and on its menu were fried chicken, burgers, and kebabs. A Western traveler who visited the spot said, quote, "I went in for a bite last week and got some fried chicken, which was pretty good. I asked the guy behind the counter why it was called Hitler. He just shrugged his shoulders and said the owners had thought it was a good image." I couldn't think of a fucking better image to represent my chicken restaurant. You know, guys? Seriously. So naturally, this post would go somewhat viral online for just the fucking batshit juxtaposition that we got going on. Hitler Chicken would leave the online world scratching their heads. Why would anybody use Hitler as their mascot? And not only that, why was it working? Well, to better make sense of this bizarre marketing ploy, allow me to introduce you to what has been dubbed as Nazi chic. Nazi chic has been described as the use of style, imagery, and paraphernalia in clothing or pop culture related to Nazi Germany. Throughout the 2010s, Nazi chic had become somewhat of a fad within Southeast Asia, Thailand in particular. It was quite popular with the youth, who were the ones who were the most ignorant of Hitler's deeds and symbolism. In fact, it's said that at the time that it wasn't all too uncommon to find school children dressing up as Nazis, and bootleggers were selling Nazi-themed t-shirts and artwork around the country because people wanted this type of apparel. And while it's impossible to say why this symbolism was so popular in Southeast Asia at the time, I'll just go back to what I said earlier. I think you had a lot of young people who were just completely ignorant about what Hitler did. I think the Holocaust is something we know way more about as Westerners, and maybe, it's not really talked about that much in Asia. To exemplify the popularity of Nazi chic at the time, there was once a case in 2016 involving a Taiwanese high school orchestrating a Christmas parade, wherein the students dressed up and marched in Nazi-themed uniforms, performing Zig Heils and constructing a cardboard tent to boot. And apparently the theme of this parade was voted on by the students themselves. This parade would go viral online and drew international criticism, resulting in the school administrators being humiliated and later apologizing for the parade. Quote, "When reviewing the parade beforehand, we failed to closely consider the meaning of the historical facts." I mean, seriously, it's like they're treating the garb as like a fucking Halloween costume, you know? And with this context explained, let's return back to Hitler fried chicken. When this image went viral in the West, many were confused, but a lot more were outraged by it, understandably so. And considering the fact that Hitler's face was swapped with Colonel Sanders and they were using the KFC theming, it was only a matter of time before the KFC people came after this Hitler chicken place. After discovering the viral Hitler fried chicken image, the company would make a statement regarding the shop. "We find it extremely distasteful and are considering legal action since it's an infringement of our brand trademark and has nothing to do with us." These threats appeared to successfully have spooked the owners, as after KFC spoke up, Hitler Fried Chicken changed its name to Hler and allegedly took the sign down featuring the KFC-style branding. There's not much else to report about this story, and it's said that Southeast Asia's fascination with Hitler still remains to this day, at least in a smaller proportion. While we're on the topic of fast food, can we talk about how expensive this has gotten? Like, Jesus. Prices on everything have gone up over the last few years, and outside of food, it seems like companies and services have all taken up this obnoxious subscription-based model for everything. So with prices this high on everything, it's important now more so than ever to have your finances in order. Otherwise, you could be wasting hundreds or potentially thousands of dollars over the course of the year. Personally, I found today's sponsor, Rocket Money, invaluable when it comes to canceling unwanted subscriptions, setting budgets, and lowering my bills. The Rocket Money app makes personal finance easy, giving you a clear picture of your net worth, monthly expenditures, and credit score all in one place. My favorite Rocket feature is when it comes to subscriptions. Rocket makes it easy for you to see exactly what apps, websites, or services you're paying a monthly subscription to. And I'd be willing to bet a lot of you guys are subscribed to some stuff that you totally forgot about and are shilling out money for something that you don't even use. You could be using that money to buy Chick-fil-A, dude. Rocket can cancel unused subscriptions for you, saving you a bunch of money in the process. As a matter of fact, Rocket Money has helped its customers save up to $740 a year when you use all of Rocket's premium features. They also have helped customers save over $500 million collectively in canceled subscriptions. Take control of your finances today. Go to rocketmoney.com/wavy to get started for free. The Del Taco Scammer. When you're surfing the web, it's often common to see articles and videos showcasing secret menu items and menu hacks. One fast food hack out there is actually illegal to participate in, which brings us to the topic of the Del Taco Scammer. Meet Robert Echeverria. In 2008, Robert was featured in a rough shot video published to YouTube titled "How to Scam Del Taco." This infamous video showcased Robert making a call to his local Del Taco restaurant wherein he attempts to trick the restaurant workers into giving him free food under the pretense that they had screwed up a previous order he had made, which he never actually made an order. Robert and his affiliates shot this video in the parking lot of the very Del Taco that they would wind up scamming. The act took place in Rialto, California, about 50 miles east of Los Angeles, and the man was aided by two friends, 18-year-old Ian Roman and 18-year-old Brian Fawcett. Rob's deceptive phone call ruse involved him telling a story where he claims that he sent his two sons to pick up Del Taco and that the restaurant had completely screwed up the order and put sour cream on everything. He claims that after getting this screwed up order, he called Del Taco corporate over the matter and was given the green light to get a free meal.
How you doing, Rosie? My name's Robert Kennedy. I frequent your establishment about 2 to 3 times a week. And I'm calling about an incident that happened earlier. I talked to the manager. They were getting off at the time. They told me to call in when I got home from work. Basically what happened was I sent my son Isaiah and my son Cody in for not a substantial amount of food, but for a good amount of food. And when the food came back, I told them to take it back. They had no receipt from the order, and the order contained sour cream, and I don't eat sour cream. And at the same time, our sodas were wrong. And when I called, I actually called corporate. Corporate told me to call the manager and that they will fix it. So that's what I'm basically calling for.
It seems like Rob has rehearsed this story. You gotta wonder how many times he's pulled this stunt. Now, when it had become clear that the restaurant workers were buying his tall tale, he would send Ian and Brian inside to pick up their free meal. Under the guise of them being his sons, the two 18-year-olds would go in and pick up the fraudulent spread. The Del Taco evac was caught on camera by Rob's gang of scammers. Rob's minions would then return to his vehicle with a bag filled to the brim of Del Taco. The Tex-Mex kingpin could be seen braggadociously munching his spoils as the video comes to a close. The Del Taco scam was a complete success. Rob's Del Taco scam tutorial video was uploaded to YouTube on February 22nd of 2008 to the Nickel and Dime YouTube channel. Opinions from the public would quickly flood into its comment section, with many praising Rob for his elaborate scheme while others warned him of potential Del Taco retribution. This guy is a good con man. The simple details he adds really makes it more believable. The son's name, saying he has salmonella, etc. That seems like quite a lot of effort to go through to avoid paying even a few bucks for a few tacos. Using Del Taco's kindness against them, this is what makes the world a colder and less kind place. I hope this guy pays the maximum price under the law for this. He's a true jerk. Clever social engineering tactic. I don't think this was a good idea in any way, but I'll give the dude credit. He's a good talker. I frequent your establishment 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah, right. Looks more like 23 times a week. If this guy needs anything, it's not Del Taco. In the early days of YouTube, the Del Taco scam video was truly one of a kind, and it went viral, amassing tens and eventually hundreds of thousands of views. Unfortunately for Rob, though, this attention meant that the Del Taco scam video would eventually make it back to Del Taco themselves. Perhaps with YouTube being so niche at the time, Rob never expected his fast food victim to find the video. For this naivety, he would be punished severely. Apparently, a viewer who knew Rob in real life recognized him in the video and called police over the matter, reporting his fraudulent activity to authorities. With all the evidence they needed publicly viewable on YouTube, they promptly tracked the man down and arrested Rob. This obese fraudster was hit with a felony commercial burglary charge and placed on a $125,000 bond. Police had this to say about Rob after he was arrested and put in jail. He was quite proud of himself there in the video, but he cried like a big baby back here. Both Brian Fawcett and Ian Hobbs were also arrested due to their connection with the Del Taco scam. In March of 2008, Robert would plead guilty and was sentenced to serve 30 days in jail along with 3 years of probation and was completely banned from the Rialto Del Taco. After the conclusion of the case, the district attorney commented, "I tried to get him to stay away from all Del Tacos, but the judge said just the one." As for Ian and Brian, unfortunately, I'm unable to ascertain exactly what their sentences were, but I would imagine it was less than Rob the Kingpin. The Wendy's gator tossing incident. The story begins in October of 2015 with 23-year-old Florida man Joshua James. Joshua James had been described as somewhat of an outdoorsman, a Florida redneck with a penchant for animal wrestling. Friends of the man say that Joshua recreationally caught snakes, lizards, and most importantly to this story, alligators. On one October day, Josh and a small group of associates managed to wrangle a gator, a young one approximately 3.5 feet in length. Initially aggressive and thrashing, the wild reptile would eventually become docile, likely exhausted from its fight with the Florida men. With a live gator now in their possession, the boys begin to ask themselves, what next? Fried gator? A new pet? Release the poor thing? None of the above. Joshua James and his friends, likely inspired by some of the viral fire in the hole videos on social media at the time, decided they'd put their own Florida spin on the already dangerous prank. They decided instead of throwing soda at a fast food employee, they would throw their live alligator into a drive-thru window. The story goes that Joshua and one of his gator wrangling accomplices would later pull up to the Wendy's drive-thru restaurant located in Royal Palm Beach, Florida. The men ordered a drink and then drove up to the drive-thru window to meet the unfortunate soul on the receiving end of their devious stunt. During the drive-thru interaction, the worker turned their back to the group, and seeing their opportunity, Josh pulled the gator from the back seat of his truck and hurled the tormented reptile through the drive-thru window. The startled beast hissed as it landed inside Wendy's, sending workers into a panic. The cashier was so terrified by the presence of the alligator, she jumped out of the drive-thru window as Josh sped away in his truck. The gator tossing gang likely feeling that they'd committed the greatest act of fire in the hole in history. And while this may be true, the act would come with consequences, as not only did Josh and his friends harm the gator by throwing it, they petrified everybody inside of the Wendy's restaurant. Wendy's management would notify authorities over the gator inside of their facility. It was later captured and released back into the wild by Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation officers. They traced the soft drink purchased at the time of the gator throwing back to Joshua James. After a thorough investigation, the man was arrested several months later. He was taken into custody where he would confess to being the Wendy's gator thrower. As a result of his alligator antics, Joshua was facing some pretty serious charges. The most remarkable of these charges being aggravated assault with a deadly weapon with the intent to do less than murder and unlawful possession of a gator. After being arrested and charged, the man posted bail and was released from jail. Shortly after getting out, Joshua was approached by a group of journalists and he agreed to do an ad hoc interview with them. And the man was rather candid in the interview, saying that he didn't mean any harm by his stunt, he just wanted to do something funny. And he also claims that he had a friend that worked at the Wendy's, so he thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal if he threw the gator in there. Well, you were wrong about that, pal.
So the person you threw it at was your friend or no?
No, it was a different person. I'm pretty sure he's working there at the time and got a chance to see it. So.
Do you have anything to say to the people at Wendy's?
Standing by. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry for what I did. I mean, just being stupid, not thinking. Night shift reporting. Obviously, I found out what the consequences were, and I gotta pay for them, so.
And so you never meant to harm anybody, you're saying?
No, absolutely not. I never meant for anybody to get hurt or anything like that. You know, it was a good laugh kind of thing. Yeah.
In May of 2016, Joshua would plead guilty to his charges, which had been slightly softened. These charges included misdemeanor assault and unlawful possession of a gator. The man was given 12 months of probation and compelled to complete 75 hours of community service, and he had to pay a fine and court costs of $1,200. A Florida wildlife worker commented on the judge's sentencing. He may have thought this was something funny he was doing, but I've been bitten by alligators. I've seen what alligators can do, and I think that's probably something the judge took a look at. The gator tosser's disregard for public safety landed him a criminal record. Jollibee's fried towel. Jollibee is notable for being the only internationally headquartered fast food chain in this compendium. But that just means that they fucked up so badly that the story went internationally viral. Now to begin, what exactly is Jollibee? Jollibee is a Filipino-American fusion fast food joint based out of the Philippines. From spaghetti to shrimp to fried chicken to burgers, they do it all. And with a self-stated company mission of spreading joy, you can bet your bottom dollar that Jollibee aims to please with its fast food creations. But in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, a disaster was on the horizon. When news about the virus began spreading in the spring of 2020, Jollibee was one of the first global chains to aggressively respond to consumer fears, announcing a franchise-wide effort to bolster food and consumer safety. Mask and glove policies were enacted, rigorous sanitation protocols were followed, and deliveries even included the respective body temperatures of the store crew and delivery driver that handled the customer's food. These guys had completely revamped their health and safety practices and were running a clean operation here. But ironically enough, it would be an object associated with cleanliness and sanitization that would end up being the biggest health and safety blemish in the company's history. The disaster begins unfolding on June 1st of 2021. When a woman hailing from the Philippines named Alik Marie shares the following harrowing experience with her Jollibee chicken meal.
Worst experience ever, had Jollibee delivered. Mukha siyang chicken, di ba? Tigas eh. Gulat ako. And it's not chicken, it's a towel.
She shares photos and videos of what appears to be a deep-fried dish rag. She says, just something that frustrated me this late. She says, we had Jollibee delivered via Grab, ordered chicken for my son. While I was trying to get him a bite, I found it super hard to even slice. Tried opening it up with my hands and to my surprise, a deep-fried towel. This is really disturbing. How the hell do you get the towel in the batter and even fry it? I really thought that the posts complaining about weird stuff in their orders were just all made up. Now I know that it really happens. So disgusting and embarrassing to think you're even branched in the BGC. There's a first for everything, and this has been the worst first. Generally speaking, these deep-fried horror stories almost always hinge on a chicken tender vaguely resembling a rat or something like that. But taking a look at Alik's comprehensive photography of her fast food encounter, it was clear as day what we were dealing with here. Ain't no way around it, this was 100% a fucking fried towel. And what makes this even more bizarre is that you wouldn't get a fried towel simply by, like a towel in the kitchen accidentally falling into the fryer. This thing had to be processed by hand in the sense that someone had to put it in flour, get it in an egg wash, batter it up, and then place it in a deep fryer. There were a lot of steps and a lot of personnel that likely encountered this rag before it was fried. And what makes this even more disturbing is the fact that this is a kitchen rag. At the very least, it was contaminated with cleaning solution, and at the worst, it was just contaminated from cleaning up some disgusting mess or sludge in the kitchen. Needless to say, pretty disgusting, right? Alik's fried towel would begin making its rounds on Facebook, and in short time, you had thousands chiming in, sharing their thoughts on the grotesque discovery and making jokes at the expense of Jollibee. The batter must have been contaminated too when that towel was breaded. We will never know who got those potentially contaminated chicken joys that day. What if the kitchen towel has chemicals in it? That's the secret ingredient. Word of the Jollibee fried towel incident would spread from Facebook to the greater internet, and, well, they had a PR disaster on their hands. Thankfully, for the sake of the public, Alik's Facebook post contained an image showing her online order receipt and the exact Jollibee location that the fried towel was ordered from. This receipt indicated that the Jollibee kitchen responsible for this fibrous monstrosity was the location at 32nd and Rizal Street in Bonifacio Global City, located in the Philippines. When news of the towel spread, folks avoided this location like the plague, and the Jollibee company was facing mounting pressure, with the public demanding them to open an official investigation into this alleged linen frying franchise. In the meantime, humiliating videos began appearing on YouTube where people parodied the situation by showing viewers how to cook a Jollibee fried towel for themselves.
Pwede na siyang prituin ngayon, so yan, siksik lang natin yung kakaprito. Unahin ko muna ilagay yung ating mga manok. So i-deep fried natin siya sa 170 degrees Celsius ng oil. Tapin nyo na lang yung recipe na to. At napakasarap po ng chicken na to, ng Ledon, yung nagpa-deliver, ganyan na ganyan. Diba? Pag bukas mo yung sa gitna, towel talagang itsura niya.
On June 2nd, Alik would make an appearance on popular Filipino talk show Raffy Tuflo in Action. In this broadcast, she would explain her reasoning for coming forward with the story, that being that she wanted to, quote, raise awareness about the practices at Jollibee. And she also seemed to suggest that suing the company for damages was on the table.
Yes,
It's not
po.
about suing Jollibee for damages. Hindi po yon?
It is part of it.
With mounting social media scrutiny, the company was being pressed by customers in a fast food setting, actively contaminating 2 bins of lettuce by way of literally standing in the bins themselves 1 foot per bin.
Trước ngủ khó ngủ, bị nó nhức á. Rồi bây giờ mình ngủ rác lại êm giấc.
Snarky influencer chefs, fast food critics, and slovenly mukbangers, creators around the web are stuffing their faces with slop, or criticizing said slop every day for your entertainment. It's like a fat ass's Roman Colosseum's worth of entertainment, and I'm happily in attendance. Food and eating related influencing is a profitable lane, but it's also quite the scandalous one. And I've got the most succulent bits to share with you all today. From a TikTok food critic exposing a dick-headed chef, to a fast food reviewer erroneously framed as a bombing victim, and a challenge eater busted for consuming a household pet, these are the many scandals of online food influencers. Food reviewers hit by SUV mid-review. Now we'll be rolling into a pretty heavy story that crashed its way onto the internet in 2025. One that shattered both my conception of restaurant window side seating safety and view records for viral food influencer clips. This story begins with social media influencer Nina Unrated. Nina first became popular as a YouTube dancer and booty twerking instructor. Though in more recent years, the woman has etched a name for herself as a food reviewer and bizarro mukbanger on Instagram and TikTok. Nina's food consumption videos are truly something, and in my opinion, they have a bit of a gooner flair to them. Many of the more recent videos feature fellow food reviewer Patrick Blackwood, and in these you get a taste of Nina's approach, with her sucking and wrapping her giant Haribo gummy worm-sized lips around food, hand and fork fed to her in a suggestive manner by her accomplice. These videos featuring Nina and Patrick Blackwood were already popular on TikTok, but a chance encounter with a 5,000-pound amalgamation of steel, aluminum, and plastic would make sure these two were famous for something else entirely. On August 16, 2025, Nina and Patrick Blackwood were filming a food review at QV's Culinary Creations, a restaurant located in Houston, Texas. Things start off routinely, with the two chatting and chowing down on a luxurious spread of fine cuisine. There's even one of the signature oyster shell suck-off moments. Everything was as it should have been. But then, after about 10 minutes of mukbanging, something absolutely inconceivable happens. I reckon the driver thought this place had a drive-thru. Taking a closer look at the replay of the clip, we can see that while it was quite the destructive impact, the frame of the window and booth shielded the pair from most of the collision, though Patrick did seem to have gotten roughed up a bit. The two almost immediately admitted themselves to the hospital, and thankfully it was determined no serious injuries occurred. The absolute universally microscopic odds for something like this to happen and be caught on camera is what really trips me out. For someone to be filming a food review and then to also have some jackass smash a SUV into the booth exactly where you were filming, it's almost like this was a planned crashing of their smorgasbord. Well, no need to get conspiratorial because the truth of what led up to this insane crash would later be revealed. In an article published by Today, the owner of the restaurant, a man named Ivory Watkins, was interviewed and shined some light as to what had transpired from his point of view. According to Ivory, the restaurant was mostly empty that day as staff were preparing for a private dinner party. So from what I gather, Nina and Patrick were like one of the few people that were in here eating, which also adds to the absurdity of the car hitting specifically their booth, but I'll continue. To make matters even more fucking ridiculous, Ivory further explained that the person who had slammed the SUV into the window was apparently an invited attendee of said dinner who arrived early. I mean, why park when you can just get in-restaurant car hop service? They turned that bitch into a Sonic drive-in. As to why exactly the SUV driver smashed through the wall like Kool-Aid Man, that answer would later be provided by the Harris County Sheriff's Office. It appears the driver had accidentally switched their vehicle into reverse, thinking it was in park. And when they released the brake, the SUV rolled backwards and slammed through the window.
Out of the window.
So yeah, the clip was a viral phenomena and the buzz around it came and went, and many assumed that would be the end of the matter altogether. You know, it being a remarkable freak incident with all parties walking away thankful that nobody was seriously hurt. Well, recent developments suggest this controversy is far from over. Back in August of this year, CBS reported that the two influencers in Nina and Patrick had initiated a $1 million lawsuit against the restaurant, alleging that there were no protective barriers installed to protect customers from events such as this. They suggested negligence on the restaurant's part, accusing them of not being proactive about customer safety. It's too early to tell how this thing is going to shake out, but they're being represented by Tony Busby, who is notable for being involved in the Diddy lawsuits and also representing the woman who sued Shannon Sharp, which I discussed in a previous video about Gooners if you want to check that out. It'll be interesting to see where this one goes, but I must admit I'm a bit saddened that it's being litigated. I feel bad for everyone involved in this situation except for the driver, but like, I think it's senseless to go the legal route here. Come on, can it not just be a funny viral clip without all the lawsuits? We got a mukbanger down in the ER with a ruptured stomach, so I'll keep this brief. Finding a healthcare provider can be a stressful process, and I think we can all relate to a time where we went in blind to a doctor that we found off of a Google search. Today's sponsor, ZocDoc, can help you out here. ZocDoc is a free website that helps you search through providers in your area and make a more informed decision about who you see. The best part about ZocDoc, in my opinion, well, you avoid the phone calls and secretaries, and you can book an appointment right there on the site. Useful filters will allow you to see if providers accept your insurance, and you can also filter by distance. Usually with ZocDoc, you can find an appointment that's anywhere between 24 and 72 hours out, but in some cases they have day of appointments that you can book. ZocDoc has over 100,000 providers in their network, and they cover the specialties too, which is great for if you just have like a one-off issue. Say you have a rash on your skin but don't have a dermatologist, ZocDoc makes it easy to find one quickly. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/WavyWebServe to book an appointment today. The link's also in the description. Now, I gotta go sew up this mukbanger's stomach. See ya. The report of the week bombing death incident. This story involves one of my personal favorite YouTubers being framed as a child victim of a deadly terrorist attack. On May 22nd, 2017, the city of Manchester was hit by one of the deadliest terrorist attacks in the history of the United Kingdom. At approximately 10:30 p.m., a crazed suicide bomber named Salman al-Bedi launched an attack against the Manchester Arena after the conclusion of an Ariana Grande concert. The attack killed 22 people and injured dozens more. Footage of the crisis quickly spread online, showing hundreds of panicked concert goers screaming in terror and running away in confusion. Aside from the abject horror of this terroristic violence, the media also highlighted another distressing component to this attack. That being many children were present and they got temporarily separated from their parents during the chaos. This element will become relevant shortly. Sadly, despite how horrible this was, the age-old tradition of making a mockery out of horrific tragedies remained true even with this Manchester situation, with many attempting to use the incident as an opportunity to garner clicks off of mean-spirited jokes and hoaxes. Think along the lines of creating viral hoax posts falsely attributing Sam Hyde as being a mass shooter or like the ghost of Kiev kind of thing. Several online trolls began posting random photos of teens and children, falsely claiming that these individuals were missing in an attempt to create confusion online. And one of the most notable figures used as fodder to perpetuate this hoax was none other than the internet's premier fast food reviewer, The Report of the Week. The Report of the Week is a fast food review channel created by eccentric shortwave radio enthusiast and suit-wearing food critic John Jurasek, who goes by the online moniker Review Bruh. While he's been making videos since the early 2010s, John saw a huge renaissance around the 2017 era, becoming not just a popular channel, but in many ways he became a living meme. This was all thanks to his aforementioned eccentric nature, making him a beloved figure on sites like Reddit and 4chan.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Though while his popularity on these sites may have been good in terms of views, the internet's obsession with him combined with his youthful appearance, well, you might imagine where this is going. In the wake of the bombing, a Twitter user named Gamergate Antifa made an obvious troll account posting the following tweet with an image of Review Bruh. "My son was in the Manchester Arena today, and he's not picking up my call. Please help me." This post ended up going viral, garnering over 10,000 likes and 20,000 retweets in short time. While many knew it was a shitpost by a troll, the nature of its virality meant it spread over into the mainstream, causing some to genuinely want to help try to find this missing son. While perhaps not intentionally malicious at first, this tweet quickly became an issue for John, who had so many people checking in about his safety that he actually had to create a video clarifying that he wasn't harmed and that the whole thing was a hoax started by internet trolls.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, I don't know if you've heard it or not, but some people propagated a certain rumor claiming that I was a victim in the attack in Manchester at the Ariana Grande concert. I'm just making this video to let you know that I am indeed alive, well, and okay, here in the United States, not the UK. And this unfortunately was just an effort done by various trolls and website users, certain website users, just to try to mislead the general public with fake news and just to try to get some laughs out of it.
This guy truly is a class act. I mean, throwing the suit and tie on and going live like he's Walter Cronkite to dispel false 4chan allegations about his untimely demise. This is why Review Bruh is the GOAT. With John's video obliterating any credibility given to the tweet, the author of said hoax post received a great deal of criticism for the burden they had placed not only on Review Bruh, but also for making a mockery out of real victims. Gamergate Antifa was actually contacted by news publication The Guardian. They managed to have a brief exchange with the anonymous troll, who, when asked about their motivations as to why they did it, said, "It has become a sort of competition of who can fool the news. The only way to give it enough credibility is to fool a lot of people. Basically, they're making a joke out of dead children to own the mainstream media." Good one. Gamergate Antifa was completely unapologetic, going as far as claiming they would do it again, and suggested hoaxes like this would continue so long as people continued to fall for them. Though what wouldn't continue was Gamergate Antifa's activity as a Twitter user, as they were permanently suspended and would never be heard from again. Thankfully, Review Bruh was not a victim of the Manchester bombing, but he would fall victim to something else entirely that was in many ways life-threatening. A little over 2 years following this situation in Manchester, Review Bruh would post an image of himself laid up in a hospital bed. While many feared the worst, such as a terminal illness or a fast food-induced cancer diagnosis, John would reveal that he had actually been seriously injured after falling from a ladder when retrieving something from his attic. He writes, "Unfortunately, I ended up in the hospital today. I took a bad fall this morning. I was doing work in the attic, lost footing, and fell 12 feet onto concrete. I hit the back of my head and tailbone hard, got cut up elsewhere. Thankfully, the head injury isn't life-threatening." He would later upload a video further clarifying his fall and the injuries from it, and thankfully, he's made a full recovery since the incident.
I was doing some work in the attic, and I lost my footing and fell about 12 feet onto a very hard floor. I think it was concrete. Needless to say, you can see it was my mistake. It was, I messed up. But for reference, I was trying to get to that board there. And
I misjudged myself. That's what happened. And slip. So did I, of course. And then with that, I fell down from there onto the ground here.
I never anticipated, never expected applying battlefield medicine. So I just most sincerely wanted to thank each and every one of you for your support, for your kind words, and your thoughts. Thank you all so much. I just never expected so much. It's incredible.
The mukbang deaths. In the world of food-related content, I'd say really the only subgenre that's actually inherently controversial by nature is mukbang. These videos essentially involve creators binge eating grotesquely large portions of food on camera, often in slovenly fashion. Many influencers in this space boast expansive waistlines and dipping sauce in their faces. There are obviously potential health concerns with creating this sort of content on a daily basis. Some have truly lost themselves to the mukbang, becoming morbidly obese. Influencers such as Foodie Beauty come to mind here, but there are a plethora of others who have taken their eating too far for the sake of content and money. The natural worry with this sort of thing is that, well, these obese Jesus Christ. It's like an insect invasion today. The natural worry with this sort of things is that, well, these obese mukbang influencers are gonna fucking die. And while I'm unaware of such cases occurring here in the United States, there have been at least 2 instances of international mukbangers entering the grave early, one of which was actually live streaming when it happened. On June 14th, 2024, a Chinese mukbang creator named Pan Ting would be hospitalized after partaking in a continuous binge-eating mukbang session while live. Pan had become infamous over the years for continuously escalating the scale of her eating content to include more and more food with each upload, leading to her becoming morbidly obese. This resulted in the development of numerous health issues that would eventually compound in deadly fashion. The Daily Mail reported that the aforementioned mukbang stream had lasted close to 10 hours, with the woman eventually consuming an estimated 22 pounds of food until finally collapsing. The details surrounding what happened are pretty disturbing. From what I understand, she passed out live and the viewers were in the chat panicking. They're not able to help her other than call police or EMS. She was hospitalized soon after this and pronounced dead. The autopsy revealed that Pan had passed away from her stomach literally bursting from the copious amounts of food that she had consumed. While unfortunate, as mentioned before, this isn't the only incident of its kind. A year later, 24-year-old mukbanger Efekan Coulter would succumb a similar, albeit not live-streamed fate. This Turkish influencer was severely obese and created mukbang-adjacent content, gorging himself until he was literally unable to stand up on his own. Mukbang killed this individual, with Coulter being hospitalized related to issues surrounding his obesity, dying on March 7th of 2025 at the age of 24. The Sweet Dixie Kitchen scandal. Imagine operating a craft restaurant and being exposed for deceptively selling fast food as one of your main dishes. This is the story of the Sweet Dixie Kitchen Popeye scandal. About a decade ago, the Sweet Dixie Kitchen was a hotspot for Southern fried comfort food in Long Beach, California. Most of the reviews for the business in its heyday were positive. Polite staff, a great seating environment, and above all, good food. However, this southern cooking oasis in the big city had a country fried secret they were keeping from customers that, when revealed on a large scale, threatened to ruin its owner's livelihood. One of the most popular items at the Sweet Dixie Kitchen was, of course, its fried chicken. California isn't necessarily known for their chicken, but this place had a recipe that was suspiciously good for them being so far away from the Mason-Dixon route. Some might even go as far as to say that the chicken was finger-licking good. The scandal emerged with a Yelp review posted by a man named Tyler in early October of 2017. In it, he made some startling accusations. Tyler claimed that he had witnessed employees sneaking in a large quantity of boxes consisting of Popeye's chicken, bringing it into the restaurant's kitchen, apparently noticing the covert supply drop one day while he was eating at the restaurant. The implication was that Sweet Dixie Kitchen's most famous dish, the fried chicken, was actually just Popeye's. I mean, these people were serving fast food disguised as like Paula Deen tier home-cooked poultry when it was this stuff. Which is actually pretty fucking good, by the way. Tyler says that he decided to test his theory out by ordering the chicken and waffles, and he claimed that it tastes suspiciously like Popeye's. Apparently, this guy was some sort of chicken expert. Tyler's hunch was confirmed when he confronted the waiter about the sus chicken, and this waiter seemingly admitted to the Southern fried subterfuge. Apparently wanting to keep things on the low, the restaurant comped the guy's meal to keep him quiet, and they went their separate ways. But Tyler was no hush puppy, and thus his Yelp review was created. Tyler concluded his scathing expose by challenging the restaurant to come clean about what they were doing. You know, essentially committing fried chicken stolen valor. A felony crime that could get you court-martialed by Colonel Sanders. Seeing that the chicken was out of the coop, the restaurant's owner, Kimberly Sanchez, attempted damage control and would admit to using Popeye's tenders in some of their dishes. Here is her rather hilariously tasteless response. Hi, Tyler. We proudly serve Popeye's spicy tenders, the best fried chicken anywhere, and from New Orleans, which are delivered twice a day. So whatever to you and your little review, like it was some great exposure. And whatever to you, dude. We do what we do and bring Long Beach the best food. Mostly made here, but we always get by with a little help from our friends, and we don't want it any other way. Now, in fairness to Kimberly, there does exist an archived post from before this incident where the restaurant seemingly admits to using Popeye's chicken in a public fashion. But this post had little visibility and was certainly not something openly advertised in the store itself. I mean, come the fuck on, it is patently absurd to consider yourself an American Southern-style comfort food restaurant, and your fried chicken isn't even your own recipe, like even worse than that, it's fast food Popeye's chicken? Are you kidding me? What a complete fucking joke. This is like the worst crime imaginable. Tyler's truly baffling discovery caught the attention of the local media who descended on the restaurant and got an interview from Kathy herself. She defended her use of Popeye's, characterizing it as an ingredient.
We take the food and use it as an ingredient in.
Felt that because the restaurant hadn't properly disclosed the fact that they were using Popeye's, they were operating a deceptive operation, even alluding that it could be fraud. The argument was that Popeye's chicken was significantly cheaper than the price that they were charging for the food that they included it in. They were upcharging Popeye's and selling it as authentic cuisine. It does seem pretty unethical. A later report from Inside Edition would also end up going viral and further blasted the restaurant. And here Kathy says the quiet part out loud. She admitted the reason it wasn't disclosed is that she was concerned about violating Popeye's trademarks or copyright.
When people order it, we tell them it's not on my menu as Popeye's chicken because I can't get the approval from Popeye's.
Scrolling through the comments of this video, there are a shocking amount of people defending Kathy's choice to covertly serve Popeye's. You know, people are like, it's not that big of a deal. And while I might agree with you if this was some sort of small-time mom and pop shop or a gas station that served cheap bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits, what Kathy did here was just wrong. How would you feel if you went to a restaurant that prided itself on serving authentic Italian food, only to later find that the fettuccine Alfredo was picked up from Olive Garden down the block? Like, that's just not right. While an extremely damaging controversy, Kathy's restaurant did manage to survive for a couple more years, but it did later close its doors. It's reported that the restaurant went out of business in 2019 and was taken over by new ownership altogether and turned into something else. And for those curious, no, Popeye's didn't sue. Rather, they actually opted to use Kathy's blunder as a promotional opportunity. A publication known as Eater has reported shortly before the nationwide launch of Popeye's chicken sandwich, well, they actually collaborated with Sweet Dixie, allowing some customers to try the sandwich at Kathy's restaurant before it came out. which was a pretty based Popeyes move. After Sweet Dixie was shut down, the new owners of the place redesigned and revamped the spot, opening a place called Arise Bistro, which is a hip breakfast and brunch spot that is quite successful. And by the look of some of the menu item pictures, I think they're actually using their own chicken recipes. The Instagram makeup eater. While most of the people we've discussed today have been more traditional fast food adjacent creators, this next entry is unique in the sense that she's a food influencer while not technically featuring anything you would describe as edible in her videos. Guava Shui Shui, better known by her online moniker Guava Beauty, was a Taiwanese woman who made content about beauty products. The unique gimmick that garnered her the most attention was the fact that she actually ate many of the products she reviewed and commented on the flavor. Some of you out there probably have a baby or dog that has tried this before. This makeup eating content resulted in some controversy for Miss Guava, as internet users considered it not only unsafe, but thought it could also influence kids to potentially consume dangerous makeup products. Though Guava dismissed such criticisms, and with many of these videos still up on her Instagram page to this very day, you can see she went on to make dozens more of them. With thousands of followers and a growing channel, it seemed like the sky was the limit. But then, out of nowhere, in May of 2025, she died. The tragic discovery was made by her parents, who later issued this statement regarding Guava's passing. Thank you to everyone who has liked, left a message, and laughed with her. And thank you for your love and support. She really keeps it in her heart and cherishes it very much. Guava Shui Shui just changed her place and continued to shine. When we meet again one day, she should have already unboxed the Angel-specific co-branded makeup and mukbang over there. While many headlines emphasize the fact that she was known for eating beauty products, it's actually unclear whether that was the cause of her death. The specific cause hasn't been revealed. Doing a little bit of digging into the matter of lethality in regard to makeup consumption, it seems most makeup and beauty products are relatively harmless if accidentally consumed in small quantities. The key word here is small. But I think given the nature of her content, you can't help but wonder. Though that goes out of the window if, let's say, Guava ate something she didn't realize she was allergic to. It's all conjecture on my behalf, but that's the story of the woman who ate makeup and died. The TikToker who caused the restaurant shutdown. In the era of social media, all it takes is one person with a handful of followers to give a bad review, and that goes viral, well, your restaurant's cooked. Though what's insane about this case is the restaurant that got cooked, well, they actually invited the reviewer to their spot. In late July of 2025, a video was posted to TikTok by then-fledgling online food reviewer It's Carla BB. This video was different from her typical ones. She wasn't reviewing a unique dish from a boutique restaurant. Rather, it was her venting for close to 5 minutes about a negative experience she had with staff at an upscale restaurant/wine bar located in San Francisco called The Fish Cafe. In it, Carla addresses what she saw as rude and demeaning behavior from staff during the visit. Staff who apparently actually invited her to review food there.
I don't know if I'm gonna post this video because I'm like still shaking and I feel so frazzled, but I just left a restaurant collaboration client. I had a TikTok collab with a new restaurant in Hayes Valley that I was really excited for. I had it planned since last week. My reservation was at 5:30, but I went a little early at 5:10, so it was just me. My husband was gonna meet me there. When I get there, I'm greeted by the host, and I introduce myself, and he was able to collab, and he was actually the guy I was speaking on Instagram with about it, so we were on the same page and ready to go. I started to film around the restaurant because I like to do that early on when there's less people. And after filming for a bit, I sit down at the table that's prepped for me, and it's a bar counter seat. I'm continuing to film the setup in the kitchen and stuff because it's really cute, but I hear the host and this other guy. And this other guy is behind the counter, so it's a small restaurant. He's like 2 or 3 feet away from me, so I can hear everything they're saying.
It appears there was some sort of miscommunication with management and whoever invited her, because when Carla got there, well, it seems some workers, notably the head chef at this establishment, didn't think Carla had enough clout to get special treatment and was confused as to why she was even invited in the first place. They were literally big broing this girl.
saying what about her Instagram, how many followers does she have there, and I don't use my Instagram for food, it's just my private Instagram. So this guy tells him that I have like 1,300 followers and he is not having it, saying to the host that he shouldn't have invited me and that this was a mistake and that this was bad. And then he says, is she dining alone? Who else is coming? And the host says that I have a +1. And then he says, and this +1's late, but no one was late. I was there early. Mind you, this is all happening in front of me and they know that I can hear because we are so close to each other. At this point, I am turning red because I'm so embarrassed and I feel really disrespected, but the new guy comes to me and I introduce myself, I shake his hand, and I'm telling him that I'm still excited about this collab. Immediately he says, did you do any research on this restaurant? Do you know what we do? Do you know who we are? And mind you, they're really new, they don't have a website, but I know their menu front and back because whenever I go to a restaurant, I study the menu because I know what I like to order and I want to know what the restaurant is that I'm collabing with. I tell him that you guys don't have a website, but I know you are a wine bar and you serve smaller bites. He is smirking while he's listening to me and saying that I didn't do any research and that he thinks that there's been some miscommunication. He asks for my award.
An award-winning chef that had been in the restaurant business for decades. This was the manager that was apparently talking down to Carla. People were looking at any outlet to destroy the reputation of the restaurant for its chef's transgressions. And when outlet manager that was apparently talking down to Carla. People were looking at any outlet to destroy the reputation of the restaurant for its chef's transgressions. And when review bombing didn't satisfy folks, well, they went as far as targeting the co-owner's family. Chef Luke's daughter is a woman named Issa. She's a beauty and lifestyle blogger, and when the story of her dad's dickish behavior got out, Issa's TikTok page started getting flamed, even though she didn't really have anything to do with any of this. But hey, sins of the father and all. Yes, being snobby and stuck up about his little restaurant had evolved into quite the disaster. As well, Luke found himself out of a job because of his bad attitude. In the days following Carla's viral post, Kiss Cafe published this to Instagram, announcing that Luke no longer worked there as chef, noting they were temporarily shutting down operations in an effort to restructure their business. They also seemed to suggest people were being racist to them, but whatever, go off, queen. They said, statement from the Kiss team. Our chef's behavior was unacceptable and he is no longer part of the team as co-owner or chef or in any other way. As of this post, Luke has reached out to the creator with a personal apology. That behavior does not reflect the remainder of our team. We want to create a space that's welcoming and respectful to everyone. In this instance, we failed to do so. We are closing soon and restructuring after these events. In the meantime, we hope to still be able to sustain the livelihoods of our team members and their families. Lastly, we understand the frustration and anger, but please do not use this lapse in our values as an opportunity to foment racism and hate speech towards us and our loved ones. One who does deserve credit in all of this is Issa, the daughter of the now disgraced chef. She released a video of her own where she expresses frustration and anger about her dad's behavior and says that she actually pushed him to apologize.
I know I wasn't the one who said those things, but hearing him use me as his daughter to belittle another person, a creator or not, was a complete shock to me and was unacceptable. As a daughter of immigrant parents, I've spent my whole life navigating these dynamics, trying to educate him on regulating his emotions and words, which doesn't excuse anything, but this isn't the first time I felt hurt by his actions.
The whole ordeal garnered national attention as mainstream news outlets began reporting on what had happened. After all, it was quite remarkable. A TikTok video had essentially dissolved an entire business, and the folks behind Kiss would start making some headway in regards to picking up the pieces from that PR disaster. The San Francisco Standard reported that Kiss Cafe would be transformed into a new business without the help or involvement of Luke's son. It was renamed to Bosque and kept the food and vibe of this spot before. Thankfully, the staff members that worked at Kiss Cafe had been on payroll the entire time and they got new jobs at the new place, so good on the, restaurant for not screwing the people who didn't do anything out of money. So it was less of a shutdown and more of a rebrand in an effort to distance themselves from that past blunder. Bosk is still open and seems to be doing pretty well for itself, earning a 4.5-star rating on Google, with most people enjoying the food and saying it's a great time. Luke Sung, the man at the center of all this controversy, would eventually speak out with his side of the story. In August, the previously mentioned San Francisco Standard released an interview with the guy where he went into more detail as to what happened. He basically owned up to his mistakes, but did offer a few defenses for himself. When asked about why he decided to sort of dress down the woman and make fun of her TikTok live in the dining room, he said this: "I didn't feel like I was disrespecting Carla. I was actually just doing the research that my partner should have done before she came in. When she said that she felt disrespected, I said I feel disrespected that you don't even know who the chef is. As a collaborator, you're supposed to be representing me." Which to me is bullshit. When you delegate tasks, you're the one that's responsible for the failures of those delegated. You fucked up, you don't get the privilege of dressing down someone you invited and humiliating them on the spot. Or if your employee invited them, it's still the same thing to me. Whatever the case, this situation is wrapped up and Carla has over 500,000 followers on TikTok. The spoils of war, you can say. The YouTuber eating a goldfish scandal. Lewis Cole is a prominent YouTuber mostly known for operating the YouTube channel Fun for Lewis. It's an adventure, travel, vlog style channel, though he has a bit of history prior to this, with it being quite extensive. The guy has an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to him, most of it about his YouTube exploits. We can make a whole video about this guy's life, but there's a particular controversy of interest we'll be zooming in on involving, let's just say, a fish. It all began in 2012 with Lewis creating a channel called Food for Lewis. While you might expect this to be some sort of innocent cooking show, that was far from the case. The whole gimmick of the channel was that he would eat some of the most disgusting things imaginable on camera. This was like Epic Mealtime's bizarro alternate timeline cousin. Lewis's greatest hits included him eating a live giant scorpion, eating a tarantula, eating 10 blended mice, and there were even several where he straight up ate roadkill. These videos racked up hundreds of thousands of views, huge numbers and view totals for the time. A lot of these videos have been deleted for reasons that will soon become obvious, but re-uploads still continue to float around on YouTube for those of you willing to find them. Food for Lewis was raunchy shock food content, comparable to later YouTube uploads like the infamous hair cake video by Filthy Frank, iDubbbz, and Max Mofo. Thinking about it now, I could see them actually being inspired by Lewis's work in making this monstrosity of a video. Lewis was certainly ahead of the curve, at least when it came to this gross-out style of food content. He was doing it before anyone else and was on the cutting edge of doing disgusting things for views. While he experienced some smaller controversies from organizations like PETA, who claimed he was a serial killer because he ate insects while they were alive, the guy was able to sort of shirk all of this off. But one video proved egregious enough to threaten his career and potentially land him a criminal charge. On April 1st of 2012, Lewis posted a video titled "Eating My Pet Goldfish." It's pretty self-explanatory, with Lewis taking his pet fish out of its bowl while it was still alive, putting it in his mouth, and chewing and swallowing the thing. Naturally, this goldfish eating video stirred up a great deal of discourse. Even his relatively desensitized fan base thought it was too far. I mean, bugs are one thing, bro, but a pet goldfish? I mean, we're just a few inches away from this dude chopping up a fucking cat. The goldfish video resulted in massive outrage, even in the mainstream press, the stunt being covered scathingly by many outlets. A piece written for The Guardian by a journalist named Oliver Thring actually interviewed Cole, wanting to get to the bottom of why he was doing all of these vile eating challenges. In the article, he tries to explain himself and attempts to justify animal cruelty. Lewis said he originally began uploading content for no other reason as to get as many views as possible, being inspired by previous dares from friends to eat insects. Though he denied what he was doing was cruel. Quote, "I don't want to inflict any pain on these animals, which is why I try to kill them instantly. In all of my videos, every animal dies within 5 seconds. Obviously, we need to treat animals ethically, but a much bigger problem is addressing human problems around the world like extreme poverty or the conditions that people are living in." Bro is literally using the starving children in Africa to defend him killing a goldfish on YouTube. He also makes a laughably half-baked criticism towards those calling him an animal abuser, pointing out that the majority of those people probably ate meat, which is true, but a non-sequitur argument in that people are not also filming themselves and publishing the demise of said animals for online clicks and content. It's not an apples-to-apples argument. This interview did little to quell the inquiries into him, especially ones launched by animal advocacy groups, the most serious of which coming from the Royal Society of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or RSPCA for short. Daily Mail reported that this group had launched an official inquiry into Lewis's actions towards animals, characterizing what he did as animal cruelty, and they were threatening police involvement. The RSPCA reportedly sent a letter to Lewis, claiming that he was facing a €20,000 fine or perhaps even serious prison time for his alleged offense. Though I must point out that this group is not an official government body and really has no authority to levy such penalties. They were essentially just giving lip service and say, hey, we might file a lawsuit against you. And as you might expect, no official law enforcement inquiry would actually occur. The controversy did severely tarnish Lewis's reputation, though. Despite surviving this media controversy, Lewis emerged from all of this with some guilt. In fact, he would later shift his focus away from the outrageous food-related stunt videos and dedicate his efforts to something more wholesome in terms of content creation. That being travel videos posted to the newer Fun for Lewis YouTube channel. That channel remains quite popular to this day. The irony to all of this is that Lewis, the man blown up for eating a goldfish, is now a self-described vegan. I guess all is forgiven, right? And well, you made it to the end. Let me know what you guys thought about this video down below in the comment section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Wavy Web Surf out. Peace. Today we'll be discussing a handful of influencers who seemed rich and flawless on the For You page, only to be secretly thieves, frauds, and scumbags behind the scenes. This is social media influencer Marlena Velez. She's really got it all. Luxury apartment, stunning looks, high-dollar outfits, lavish vacations, and a loving family. Oh, and a whole lot of talent.
I just don't have the energy for this. I am unsubscribing from this drama.
Despite her seemingly perfect life displayed on Instagram, this girl has made some mistakes over the years, to put it lightly. In 2019, when she was 17 years old, the girl was arrested on Grand Theft Auto charges for stealing her best friend's vehicle and wrecking it. She was arrested several years later for shoplifting at a Walmart, reportedly stealing $63 worth of kitchen-related items. But hey, no need to bring up old demons, right? I'm sure she's learned her lesson, right? Around the time of COVID, Marlena's TikTok page blew up. She made a slew of videos showcasing her life as a stay-at-home mom, though a good deal of this content is essentially her just showing her talent off and putting on outfits of the day and, doing these daily routine style videos. These videos became popular with male gooners and women who wanted to live vicariously through her seemingly perfect mom life. Though for the purposes of today's story, showing her talent, daily routine, and appliances as well. Essentially playing into the whole, hey guys, I live a perfect stay-at-home mom life. Don't you wish you were me? Watch my videos. Worship me, damn it. Then in other videos, she would show herself trying on the clothes that she got from Target, making even more content with these items. This is pretty standard wealthy female beauty-leaning influencer type of stuff. With the exception of one thing, despite seemingly being well off financially, this crazy-ass woman was actually stealing the shit from Target, not buying it. You see, in 2024, Marlena had started going to shopping outlets like Target, and when nobody was looking, she'd swap out the barcodes of the more expensive items, replacing them with those of cheaper ones. She'd then go to self-checkout and get the bargain of a lifetime, a self-imposed clearance sale, if you will. And you know, while I personally don't give a fuck if any of you guys go out and do this, but definitely don't be acting like some perfect mommy on TikTok and be stealing shit behind the scenes. That's not how that works, homegirl. The woman's actions finally caught up to her on October 30th of 2024, when Cape Coral, Florida police were called to the Target on Pine Island Road to investigate a theft report from Target's loss prevention team. When they checked the surveillance footage, they noted an unidentified woman sketchily swapping barcodes out at the self-checkout, the person making away with close to $500 in Target goodies. At the time, the thief's identity was unknown. The Cape Coral Police Department spokesman commented, 16 items of miscellaneous household goods and clothing were stolen. The total loss of the stolen items was valued at $500.32. Our officers verified this with Target security cameras. Police shared the photo of the unknown woman to social media, asking the public to help in identifying the thief. They estimated the culprit to have been between the ages of 20 and 35, describing her as having long black hair, wearing a tan shirt, tan pants, and glasses. While initially Sniper Wolf was suspected, police eventually found a stronger lead. Later, cops received an anonymous tip that identified the woman as none other than Mom Talk extraordinaire Marlena Bella. The tipster shared with police the girl's social media, and investigators found one piece of content on the page interesting to say the least. After scrolling through the talented woman's page for some time, they stumbled across a TikTok video that actually documented a Target trip, the foray taking place on October 30th, the same day of the theft report. Police used the items in this video and cross-referenced them with the ones stolen from Target. And well, what do you know? They matched up. She could also be seen wearing the exact same outfit that the thief in the surveillance footage had on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
On November 21st, 2024, Marlena would be arrested and charged with petty theft. She was quickly let out on bail. Quite the unexpected turn of events. So what did this lady have to say about all of this? On the day that she was released from jail, Marlena uploaded a TikTok where she essentially clickbaited her fans, making it seem like she was about to talk about the ordeal. But it was more or less a cheeky video where she just applies makeup and trolls the viewer. She even has a photo of her mugshot lingering in the background, so it was very much intentionally a joke. Good one. That's right, on top of being extremely talented, she had a sense of humor as well. A class act. In the description of this video, however, the Target barcode bandit does briefly address the incident, asking her followers to withhold judgment. Quote, "While there will be a time to discuss my wrongings, now is not that moment, and it doesn't mean I don't want to speak on it or take accountability for my actions. It means everything is still being dealt with in court. So I just ask, please respect that. I also want to be clear that this doesn't define who I am, and it doesn't reflect the person I strive to be. I do believe that we all make mistakes, and it's how we learn and grow from them that matters." Now, if I'm being honest, this is actually a pretty reasonable statement and action plan from Marlena. It signals that she acknowledges what she did was wrong, while also being smart legally and withholding detailed comments until the court stuff is sorted out. But all of this public relations maneuvering from Marlena would be in vain, as this kleptomaniac content creator was about to be right back in jail, as receipts of previously unknown thefts would come to haunt her. That's right, she got caught again. On November 30th, 2024, police were called to meet with Target's loss prevention team yet again. The team had suspicions that Marlena was a serial thief of sorts and believed they had evidence that she had actually stolen from them on more occasions than just the October 30th incident. Police were shown surveillance footage by the loss prevention team from the date of November 20th, just the day before Marlena's arrest for the October incident. And the footage showed a woman that looked very much like her swapping out barcodes at the self-checkout. The woman with a family that looked very much like Marlena's family.
But you can actually see Velez has something in her hand that she's holding underneath the clothes to scan. It's very obvious, and we can slow it down so you can see. She does it over and over again. Truthfully, she's not even that slick about it.
The individual believed to be Marlena had stolen 16 items on this day, ranging from household goods to clothes, valued at around $225. Police were eventually able to identify this thief as Marlena after cross-referencing her Instagram account and using a photo there to match Marlena's cell phone wallpaper with wallpaper seen on the phone of the culprit in the surveillance footage. And it matched. Looks like Marlena was a bit more involved in stealing from Target than what was initially thought. She was promptly rearrested.
I'm gonna need you to put your hands behind your back.
Wait, what?
Put your hands behind your back.
Wait,
Don't fight it. Don't fight it.
I have to put shoes
I will
on.
talk to you in a second. All right? Just give us a second. Just give us a second.
No, this is what I told you. Sydney. Call my dad, call my grandma, tell them to call my lawyer now.
The woman got hit again and was charged with petty theft, later being released on a $500 bond. On March 4th, 2025, the frugal female influencer would plead no contest to her 2 charges of petty theft, and a week later, on March 13th, she'd be sentenced to 12 months of probation, which will run concurrently for both of her cases. As of April 29th, 2025, Marlena still posts frequently to TikTok, and her comments are rather supportive, if I'm being honest. Love to see you standing strong while going through so much scrutiny. This is how you pick up the pieces and keep moving, people. Love this comment. Thank you so much. Yes, Queen. Keep up that growth. Next, we'll be discussing a seemingly well-off influencer who is secretly making her money by way of an elaborate identity theft scheme. And while we're on the topic, you know right now your full name, email, phone number, home address, and date of birth are likely floating around on the internet? I mean, just Google your name. You'll be surprised at what you might find about yourself. And you have opportunistic data brokers to thank for that being on the internet. Today's sponsor, Incogni, can help find that information and remove it from the web for good. Incogni does the hard work for you, tracking down the data brokers who have your info online and submitting information removal requests on your behalf. When signing up for Incogni, I was shocked to find how much of my personally identifying info was just floating around. Incogni indicated 245 instances of my personally identifying information on the web, and they sent requests to take down each occurrence. Within a few days, they got my data off the internet for good, and many of the data brokers were compelled to add me to a suppression list, meaning that they wouldn't be able to get my info in the future. Guys, I'm telling you, you will be stunned when you do your first Incogni scan and see what's online about you. So take back your personal data with Incogni. You guys can click the link below in the description and use code WavyWebSource for checkout to get 60% off an annual plan. Now, with that said, let's get back to these idiot influencers. Our next social media starlet of questionable trustworthiness is Danielle Miller. Along with being an influencer, she's probably one of the most notorious con artists in internet history, with an elaborate illegal money-making scheme involving identity theft coming to light in recent years.
Tonight, the flashy and lavish lifestyle of a social media influencer helping to put her behind bars. Danielle Miller pleading guilty to a $1.5 million fraud scheme.
Danielle's existence online is a bit of a chaotic mess that needs some exposition. She grew up very wealthy in New York City, near Central Park in fact. Her parents were stupid rich. She was put in prestigious schools growing up and was eating from a silver spoon pretty much since the moment she left the womb. All of this privilege, though, would be something she came to detest. As she entered her teenage years, she grew rebellious, which brings us to the start of her career as an influencer. Danielle's plunge into social media fame is truly bizarre and disgusting, if I'm being honest. When she was 13 years old, all the way back in 2004, Danielle sent a video to her school crush over AOL Instant Messenger. That video apparently showcasing the girl performing obscene acts with a Swiffer mop.
I sent them to one person,
At that age, at my school, there it's not large, so everybody knows everybody. Like everybody's friends with everybody. So we literally have grown up with one another. Like it wasn't me sending this video out to everyone. I sent it to this one boy. He sent it to my then best friend, a girl, trying to like persuade her into
Sending one too.
making a video like that, being like, oh, Danielle's cool, like she did this, like. But instead of her doing that, she decided to like send it to the whole 8th grade, who sent it to the whole 9th grade, who sent it to 10th, 11th, 12th, and then all of their camp friends, and then all of Dalton and Collegiate and Browning, every single private school, every single school in the city got their hands on this through like word of mouth and email and AIM.
Unfortunately for Danielle, this video ended up getting leaked by the boys she sent it to, and it spread around the internet. You had disgusting creeps, freaks, and pedophiles downloading it from sites like LimeWire and Kazaa and gawking over what was essentially CSAN. Guys, I'm sorry the 2004 excuse doesn't cut it here. What the fuck were y'all thinking downloading this?
Right to jail, right away.
The notoriety garnered from this incident would earn Danielle a mocking nickname, that being Swiffer Girl. The gross situation essentially being the sole reason why she became known on social media initially. Quite twisted if I do say so myself. While initially shocking and distressing, Danielle, growing rebellious of her rather stuffy upbringing and wanting to act out, said fuck it, and eventually started to lean into the bad reputation she had established with the inadvertent spread of the Swiffer Girl video, basically becoming a niche, raunchy e-celebrity known for starting trouble and later in college becoming a party animal. After college, Danielle moved to Los Angeles and joined a small clique of Hollywood socialites. It's here that her nature as a capable con artist would become apparent. Infiltrating these wealthy socialite groups, she would earn their trust, then fleece them out of large sums of cash, usually by doing something as simple as stealing a checkbook and issuing fake checks with a forged signature. Infinite money glitch, am I right? I mean, as a matter of fact, why am I even making these videos? Why are you guys going to work? Who's got a rich friend and a checkbook? Let's ball out. This would be her gambit going forward, networking her way into exclusive upper crust social circles and then swindle the wealthy in these groups for whatever she could. In a way, I could kind of see this as her spiting the groups of people that she came up around, you know, like she thinks the rich are stupid and she wants to get back at them because she thinks they're all fucking stuck-up idiots or something. Danielle eventually made her way back home to New York in 2016. A seasoned con artist at this point, she'd work her magic on the many stuck-up trust fund art kids and airheaded socialites that pepper the city, befriending them, stealing their credit cards, checks, etc., and then would use the money to book appointments at luxury beauty salons. And of course, she would purchase high-dollar products and clothing with this money. Much of this stuff she would wear on her growing Instagram page. Sometimes Danielle would even get caught stealing from these people, and she would be arrested a few times related to these schemes, usually just spending a night in jail before getting bailed out by her parents. Due to the missing of some court hearings and a collection of other antics, she eventually had to spend a year in prison at Rikers Island. Most of her time spent there, she just learned more from scammers and con artists that were locked up with her. And after she got out of prison in 2019, that's when the real fun started. About a year after her release, COVID hits, and the government starts issuing these small business loans and unemployment benefits to just about anyone who applies. Swiffer Girl saw an opportunity. It's time to steal some identities and defraud the government. Using the internet, Danielle managed to hack into the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles and use the information found on there to steal people's identities. She would then use these identities to apply for PPP loans and unemployment, and was almost always granted these benefits and loans. In total, Danielle collected over $1.2 million in pandemic relief loans that she would then use to sustain her lavish lifestyle, riding on private jets, booking expensive hotel rooms and luxury apartments. And most of the time she's booking and buying all this stuff using other people's identities too, so it's like in their names. And all of this lavish luxury stuff is showcased on her social media career, making it appear as if she was some kind of successful fashionista or entertainment mogul. Little did people know she was a complete fraud. In May of 2021, with many scammers and fraudsters running rampant during COVID, the U.S. Attorney General's office would establish the COVID-19 Fraud Task Force as a way to combat fraud epidemic that was running roughshod. Everybody and their fucking mom was getting a PPP loan at this time. It was crazy. And it wouldn't be before long until Danielle, one of the biggest abusers, was discovered. The same month that the task force was established, our career con artist would be caught red-handed in Miami as she was attempting to withdraw $8,000 from a Chase bank while using someone else's identity. The woman is quoted as saying, "Fuck." While searching her belongings, authorities found 3 Illinois driver's licenses with different names featuring Miller's own photo, along with credit cards to boot and $25,000 in cash. During her interrogation, she tried to act like she was somebody else, trying to imply that she must have been a victim of identity fraud.
Danielle, we know it's you. The ID's fake and you have 14 different cards in your purse.
My name is Chris. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Though they later confirmed without a shadow of a doubt who she was, taking her fingerprints and confirming that she was Danielle Miller. Danielle was taken to jail not long after. The feds would later raid her Miami-based apartment. There, authorities found a Rolex watch, a Dior blouse and shoes, a Louis Vuitton bag, and an expensive piece of Rimowa luggage. They also seized more than $4,000 in cash and nearly $28,000 in money orders, along with several fake IDs with bank cards to match. Authorities allege the woman had also recently gotten an expensive BBL surgery. After learning about her theft, surgeons sucked the fat back out of her butt cheeks, reversing the procedure. She faced charges in multiple states, including Florida and Massachusetts, the latter being where a majority of her victims resided. On March 6, 2023, in Boston, Massachusetts, Danielle pled guilty to 3 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of aggravated theft. And on September 7, 2023, she was sentenced to serve 5 years in prison, along with 3 years of supervised release. The government garnished wages of over $600,000 from Miller and ordered her to relinquish her designer items, which included the Rolex watch, the bags, Dior blouse, etc. Along with her supervised release, she will also be forced to pay restitutions to the victims that she defrauded. From being Swiffer Girl to a COVID-era con artist, Danielle has had a truly wild arc. Hopefully she's satisfied that rebellious hunger formed during her teen years and can come out of prison and just be a legit influencer. Yeah, if you ever see her around, make sure you keep an eye on your wallet or your purse because she may relapse. Influencer-ran fundraisers have garnered something of a dubious reputation in recent years, with many high-profile examples of mismanagement being exposed. My advice to you, don't donate to an influencer. Just donate your money directly to the charity if you want to contribute, for Christ's sake. Most of these influencers are complete fucking idiots. These guys can barely even pay their taxes. Next, we'll be discussing a rather bizarre influencer charity fraud case involving a TikToker who collected money under the ruse of helping domestic violence victims, only to allegedly use this cash hoard as a personal slush fund.
I did this. I did this.
Yes, people donated money to this person.
I am officially a 501c3 nonprofit or
over 1 million.
Hi!
Amy had
Dầu gội thảo dược X-Men Phobos Pro Hair mới giảm gãy rụng đến 99%. Để trở thành tay trống chuyên nghiệp, tôi không ngại bất cứ khó khăn nào.
Received a lot of praise for her accomplishments. Given the sheer amount that she had raised, it was only a matter of time before folks began asking for receipts, and these receipts were few and far between. critical snark pages on Reddit started popping up, namely r/slot-machine-queen. Here, detractors would post about their suspicions, claiming that Amy was faking her domestic violence charity and pocketing the vast sums of donation money that she received.
If anybody comes and says they got shit on me, you better bring a receipt. You better bring a receipt.
They'd post a number of suspicious and cringeworthy clips of Amy, some of which showed her crashing out. In addition, they would start a petition online. The Limestone County Sheriff's Office opened an official inquiry. Detectives took a look at Amy's personal bank account and found that since 2021, Amy Downs had deposited nearly $1 million into her account. It's important to note that Amy hadn't reported any form of employment since 2020. I wonder where all that money came from. Maybe she had an OnlyFans on the side.
What the fuck? Can I live? Can I live? Can I fucking live? Why y'all want to fuck with me? Why? Why y'all so mad at me? What have I done to anybody?
Yeah, she was participating in charity fraud, allegedly slushing all of the money given to her in good faith and just dumping it in her bank account. Yeah, she might have been helping some DV victims, but who knows what else she was spending this fucking money on. She seemed to maintain a pretty nice lifestyle and she was unemployed reportedly, so you can kind of see the concern here.
Thank you for trying to tear me down, because that made me work harder to build me up. I did this.
Tax evasion. She was taken to Limestone County Jail and held on a bond of $1,225,000, but managed to be bonded out the same day. Shortly after getting out, the crazy-ass lady was posting online, acting as if she had some Heisenberg-level plot to get out of this legal catastrophe unscathed. Of 2025, with the case remaining in limbo until the next date in July. From what I understand, if convicted, Amy could be facing over 10 years in prison for this. Now, aside from everything else previously discussed, I find it curious that thousands of people online felt compelled to donate to a woman that went by the name Slot Machine Queen in the first place. Like, while I have no proof that she's a gambling addict or anything, but like, dude, isn't this like donating to an account called Fent Addict 420? You're asking for trouble here. Social media influencers are not my first pick when it comes to donating charity money. At the end of the day, most content creators are just regular, stupid, everyday people that got lucky on the internet. Hell, that goes for me too. If it's an influencer charity and you're compelled to give, at least make sure there's some kind of competent team behind it. Don't just give your money to some old hag who streams vertically on TikTok and looks like a run-of-the-mill crackhead that you might find outside of a Waffle House. Come on, guys. This next influencer, I must admit, is probably the most creative when it comes to deceit, at least when compared to today's other motley crew of crooks. She was a reseller and drop shipper. Hey, hold your groaning, that's not even the worst part. This lady took things to another level, getting steep discounts and at times free high-priced goods from boutiques by telling the boutique owners that they were going to be a part of a reality show. What the fuck does that even mean? This is Monette Meja, known as Mona. She began her journey as a reseller in 2015. A self-described struggling mother, the woman found her escape from relative poverty buying items from thrift shops, secondhand stores, garage sales, etc., and flipping them online for profit. And she was pretty good at this too, often finding relatively high-priced items that she could profit like 5x from, flipping and selling the stuff on Poshmark.
Which are awesome little booties. And these are actually, oh wow, these are Carlos Centeno. So cute, look at the detail. Awesome find.
By the end of her first year in the reselling flip business, she accumulated over $50,000 in profit. Not a bad start at all, but it would be in late 2020 when things really took off. During the COVID era, she did just about what everyone else was doing and attempted becoming an influencer on social media. Like, if you think about it, being a reseller and a popular online figure are a great combination of occupations. You can literally just shill your bullshit to your audience and they'll pay good prices because they like you. Mona would make a shitload of money utilizing an at-the-time form of product pushing, live online auctions. This format, initially popularized on Poshmark, were online auctions that took place on social media apps, wherein viewers could watch, chat, and of course purchase goods in real time from the host. Think of it like QVC but online, and more interactive.
Good Lord! That one's got it! Whoa! I fell on my booty!
Mona ended up making hundreds of thousands of dollars utilizing social media and these auctions. Her family was able to purchase a brand new home, paid in full, and send 2 of her children to college without student loan debt. All things considered, thus far, there is absolutely nothing to be mad about in this story. This woman hustled, got her family out the mud, and the future was looking brighter than ever. But apparently, this wasn't enough for Mona. Getting a taste of the richest possible from reselling, today we'll be discussing real-life living memes who met unexpectedly tragic fates.
Ohio farmer David Brandt was killed last week in a car crash on I-74 near Farmer City.
A single photo of me standing in lettuce at Burger King changed my life forever.
Wardy passed away in December 2016.
The death of the Burger King foot lettuce guy.
Number 15. Burger King foot lettuce.
In 2012, an anonymous Burger King employee shared what has become known as the Burger King foot lettuce photo to 4chan. Long story short, 4chan users saw the image and were worried that the guy was contaminating food and serving it to customers. So they pulled the EXIF image data from the image and discovered the exact location of the Burger King in question, that being in Mayfield, Ohio. They reported the activity, subsequently ending the foot lettuce guy's employment at Burger King. The story and its ridiculous photo became the stuff of internet legend, but one unsolved element of the Burger King foot lettuce story would perplex the online community for years. That unanswered question being, who exactly was the Burger King foot lettuce guy himself? The few media reports about this incident never revealed the employee's name, and it seemed the identity of this individual would remain a mystery forever. That was until December 28, 2024, a date almost 12 years after the Burger King foot lettuce incident. On this day, a YouTuber known as Epic Alex Time would upload a trailer to his channel, suggesting that he was the Burger King foot lettuce guy and announced a big reveal. Days later, on New Year's, Alex, the apparent Burger King foot lettuce guy, shared his full side of the story.
For over a decade, people have speculated about the real story. How may I serve Today I'm finally ready to talk about it. One time I was prepping lettuce in the back. I was putting it in bins. For whatever reason, I decided to just put the bins on the floor and stand in them. So my buddy comes immediately and he's in tears. I think it was the funniest thing he's ever seen, even to this day. He was laughing so hard. He took the picture. I threw the lettuce away. Okay, there's a lot of rumors.
Alex goes on to explain that one of his friends was the one who actually posted it to 4chan, which of course began the spiral of all of them losing their jobs.
And the next morning, I walked out of my bedroom. I lived with my grandma and my mother at the time at my grandma's place, and I see it on the TV. I see the picture. My grandma was like, "Did you see this? You work here, right?" And I was like, what? Who could that be? That's crazy. I thought my life was over. I thought I was going to jail. Like, I was convinced, but I did get fired, and I got everyone fired.
You'd want to separate yourself from seemingly contaminating food on the job as much as you could. I think I understand why he remained in hiding. He speaks about it here.
There's a few reasons why I didn't want to come up back then as the foot lettuce guy. A few of the main reasons are, one, I don't know if you guys remember, but when it first came out, people hated me. The sentiment was not that it was funny. The main reason was I actually worked in food service my whole life. After Burger King, I got a job at Domino's. I worked there for like 9 years. I was at various different levels in management, and I just didn't want to lose my job. I really didn't.
Coming out as the Burger King foot lettuce guy on YouTube served an additional purpose other than just solving the mystery. Alex goes on to candidly admit that he suffered from disabilities and health issues that made finding work extremely difficult. So he hoped that, if the YouTube thing took off, it could be a potential money-making opportunity for him.
So last year, I was determined disabled. I have seizures, and they injure me a lot. Like, I tried working with them for years, but they just keep getting me hurt.
What do you need?
I've broken a lot of bones. I smashed all my teeth. I broke my spine a few months ago while I fractured it. And it's just not safe for me to work anymore. So I'm hoping to use this opportunity to come out and maybe garner an audience to shamelessly start a content creation career. So if you want to support that, subscribe to me, subscribe to Epic Alex Time. Yeah.
While this video didn't go immensely viral, it certainly caught the attention of those interested in internet meme history. Even Chills, Mr. Number 15 himself caught wind of the video and left a comment under it praising Alex for his inadvertent contribution to internet culture. Quote, "The legend himself, thank you for the shout out in the video. You deserve all the credit for the meme. Excited to see your channel grow." Alex had been cautious the credit for the meme. Excited to see your channel grow. Alex had been cautious to come forward as the Burger King foot lettuce guy for over a decade, but was pleasantly surprised when he was almost immediately accepted by the internet and crowned as a legend. Alex would go on to make more videos surrounding his viral stunt at the Burger King, with the scope of his channel expanding over time to internet culture topics as well. The guy wasn't breaking view records by any stretch, but he had an interesting channel, and many, including myself, were rooting for his future online success as a content creator. Sadly though, it seems health proved to be a constant roadblock for Alex. In April of 2025, Alex's somewhat frequent uploads suddenly stopped, and months later in June of 2025, he'd write about his struggles in a community post on YouTube. Quote, "Sorry I've been gone for so long. I've been suffering some severe health issues for a while now. I will resume content creation soon. I appreciate and love you guys." Fans of the internet legend remained optimistic for the foot lettuce man's return, but sadly it appears his health issues would take a tragic turn for the worse. On July 10th, 2025, internet culture writer Catherine D., who had previously interviewed Alex for her blog, announced on X that she had been reached out to by one of Alex's friends, and the news she heard going around was that Alex had passed away. An online obituary for Alex exists, and a GoFundMe was created by his sister around the time. On July 10th, 2025, I was informed that my brother Alex was no longer with us due to his personal struggles and health issues, and is now keeping our parents company. I come to everyone today and I ask for emotional, moral, and financial support in helping me give my brother the best final goodbye that I can. She'd also write, "To some, he was known as the foot lettuce guy. To me, he was a loyal friend with the best sense of humor and greatest personality in the world. He was somebody who was trustworthy, loving, and compassionate to everyone around him. He enjoyed taking his creative talents and using them to make music and YouTube videos. The GoFundMe was able to receive the funding requested from what I'm aware of. Though no official confirmation on the cause of death was revealed, many have speculated that it had something to do with his frequent seizures, a condition that Alex had been vocal about on occasion. I'd also like to take a moment to highlight the aforementioned Catherine D. interview with Alex that took place in the months leading up to his passing. While Alex mostly spoke positively about the Burger King foot lettuce incident in his videos, his true perspective on it and how it affected his life seems a bit more complex than how he made it seem in his candid commentaries. When Catherine asks what part of the Burger King foot lettuce story he felt hadn't been told, Alex, with a tone of regret, replies with this.
That's a hard one. I mean, if anyone, feels like there's some kind of karma that will get me back, like I did something wrong and that karma should take its toll on me. The events in my life have been so drastically catastrophic. That's happened. Like I've paid for it in more ways that are just affected by the actual incident. Obviously, I wish I didn't do it. When I lived in Mayfield Heights, people knew it was me, but eventually I moved out to Akron, and at that point, no one really knew it was me. So I wouldn't say it like ruined my life, but it definitely began like a chain of events, maybe indirectly, that kind of bad things started happening. People say that, like, sometimes jokingly, sometimes serious, like, you've left a legacy on the internet and this and that, but I'd prefer if I hadn't, because I'd rather just end my bloodline, if you will. I'd rather end my family name with just someone who worked hard than someone who, stepped in lettuce. Because that's just what it is. Like, everyone knows it. Everyone knows that's me now. And it's like, I feel like no matter what I do at this point, I'm always going to be known as that guy.
And when asked about why he came out as the foot lettuce perpetrator on YouTube, Alex seems to suggest he made videos out of desperation more so than a genuine acceptance of the meme.
Honestly, like, even if this is successful and I end up making money from it and, it becomes like a really big thing, like an online whatever brand, if you will, I still would prefer if it never happened, to be honest. There's no running from it at this point, so I might as well use it to my advantage. It's kind of where I'm at with it. But I do regret it.
I encourage you all to read or listen to the entire interview if you have time. This interview in many ways casts an uncomfortable shadow over the online legacy of the Burger King foot lettuce meme. While outwardly posturing as if he had fully accepted it, the reality here was that Alex's relationship with it was far more complicated. And as we just heard, he actually views what he did as a shameful act, considering it one of his most regrettable life decisions. This strange relationship with accidental online meme infamy, the tug of war with embracing notoriety for gain versus running from it out of a feeling of embarrassment, is an experience I can confidently say not one unique to Alex. Many internet meme figures have likely wrestled with the dilemma, but very rarely do we see it spoken about directly by a person in his position. Many saw his coming out as the Burger King foot lettuce guy as this wholesome feel-good ending to a decade-old internet mystery, but the truth of the story is a bit more disconcerting than initially presented. I must say, I do believe Alex was a bit hard on himself about the Burger King foot lettuce incident, but he has his own personal reasons for feeling the way he did about it, and I do respect this. I'd like to hope that even despite his own testimony, maybe Alex did find some modicum of solace after finally coming forward and admitting that it was him. I know if I ran from something for as long as he did, finally letting go of that secret would feel freeing. Regardless, he really seemed like a kind soul, and it's truly tragic for him to go as soon as he did. Rest in peace to Alex. When a dead man's porn became a meme. It's rare that this happens, but every now and then, someone who is already dead becomes a meme years after their passing. That was the case with this infamous bait and switch porn meme. Look familiar? Wardy Jobert III, also known by his nickname Wood, was born August 30th, 1971 in San Francisco. Surprisingly, his nickname Wood had nothing to do with anything porn related. It was just a nickname that he picked up from being really good at baseball as a kid. Wardy was an exceptional athlete, playing semi-pro and arena football after high school, and he would actually be inducted into the Minor League Football Hall of Fame. Later, after retiring from sports, he would work as a football coach and a deacon for the St. Paul Tabernacle Baptist Church. The man was a staunch supporter of aiding the homeless and often helped folks around the streets of San Francisco. So how does a well-to-do athlete end up in a photo like this? Well, in 2009, like many others around this time, Wardy would endure some financial difficulties, almost losing his house. He needed money quickly. Turns out, despite the wholesome deacon identity, the guy ends up being willing to lean into a promiscuous lifestyle for some extra scratch. Wardy would secretly work as a bull, or someone who consensually cucks another man, doing so quite successfully for a time to get by. The dude became something of a local legend for his bullish behavior. And that's how we get to a photo like this. In January of 2010, while working at a Gold's Gym, Wardy befriended Walter Smith, a photographer for a gay adult film company called Pantheon Bear, which is now called Hot Old Male. This Walter guy knew about Wardy's sex work and asked him if he was interested in a photo shoot that could help promote his cucking services. And then of course the image ends up online because, they're trying to advertise him. Wardy agreed, and on January 14th, 2010, a now infamous photo was snapped. The iconic
EVE Online is a vast universe. alive with the unrelenting activity and combined history of its...
Hey, hold on a second. I'm in the middle of filming a video. I'll call you back. Sorry about that. You know, speaking of calls, I recently got a premium unlimited data plan on this phone with Mint Mobile, and it only costs $15 a month. Literally set it up within minutes using an eSIM. For once in my life, I don't feel like I'm getting robbed for phone service, and you shouldn't either. Mint comes with everything you need. They've got 5G coverage to 98% of Americans and 4G LTE to 99% of them. I've had no complaints about the coverage or data connectivity. I mean, it's pretty insane. Unlimited talk and text, free calls to Mexico, Canada, and the UK, and you get 20 gigs of mobile hotspot data? That's pretty nuts. If you want to make the switch to Mint, it's easy. If you have an unlocked phone, it's as simple as activating an eSIM and you're ready to go. If you're switching providers, they have a streamlined system to do that in minutes, and you can even keep your old phone number. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/wavy. That's mintmobile.com/wavy. Upfront payment of $45 for a 3-month 5GB plan required, which is equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options are available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. An internet famous farmer's demise. Many of you are familiar with this meme. It ain't much, but it's honest work. The farmer in this image is more important than you could possibly imagine, and his somewhat recent passing is a topic that I've seen few discuss. What is the story with this farmer, and how did his love of farming end up getting him killed?
The first picture here is our farmstead, and this happens to be a December picture. And as you can see that our neighbors are not doing what we like for them to do just yet.
The individual speaking in this internet live stream discussing winter soil health improvement is Ohio farming legend David Brand. Brand is a Purple Heart awarded Vietnam War veteran, but his exploits in the field of battle aren't his claim to fame. Those accolades come from the fields in a more traditional sense.
Most of our operation is corn, soybeans, and wheat.
This glorious man is considered one of the godfathers of the modern soil conservation movement. David here changed the way farmers farm all across America. Yeah, guys, what, did you think there wasn't going to be lore here? In the 20th century, mass-scale mechanical farming becomes a thing, and farmers start getting really efficient, growing massive crop yields every year. But there's little regard given to the land itself, and farmers end up ruining their soil quickly, over-farming it and causing soil health issues, which comes with serious erosion problems and contributes to dust storms. Keep in mind, people farmed this way because they thought the high-tech farming was the undisputed profit king. Well, yeah, we're fucking up the soil along the way, but if we grow enough, it'll make up for it in the end, right? Well, David was one of the first farming guys out there who proved this wrong, popularizing a highly profitable no-till farming strategy.
We have trouble with our neighbors because they think they need to manage their soils better by doing tillage, and they do not understand that if they do tillage, it tends to crust over, the rainfall runs off. And I think this year they've all taken notice because they've been on our farms and looked at them. And several of our local neighbors are saying now they want us to help them learn to use cover crops to improve their water infiltration and their soil health.
Instead of constantly tearing up and churning his soil, David employs no-till farming practices. He also plants cover crops in between cash crops to better preserve the soil's integrity and prevent erosion. His philosophy was that instead of prioritizing short-term high crop yields, if you managed your land conservatively and treated the soil like a living thing itself, you would actually end up making higher profits in the long run.
So this way we get lots of diversity and we have the soil covered about 360 days a year. On this farm, we lose less than 100 pounds of soil per year because of our cover crops. That's been a benefit to us.
Yeah, it's less annual yield, but the soil is usable for much longer and you save money on fertilizer and fuel costs because you're not constantly tilling the fields. David's old school methods were actually proven correct. He became more profitable than most of the farmers who used status quo tilling methods in his area. David would become something of a legend for his no-till approach and started a soil health revolution in the process. This is obviously a condensed version of his rise to prominence, but yeah, You wouldn't imagine it by looking at him, but this guy was actually an extremely progressive thinking farmer responsible for popularizing ecologically sustainable methods that are implemented to this day. David's farm in Fairfield County, Ohio has become something of an internationally recognized mecca for the soil conservation movement, with people coming from across the globe to visit the place firsthand and learn David's methods. And it's here at his farm where a meme was born. In 2012, during a natural resources conservation event held on his own farm, David Brand would have many photos of himself taken as he toured event attendees around the property. These photos were held in archive for multiple years, but they would eventually find their way to the net. The photo of David that would ultimately become a meme was first posted online by the United States Department of Agriculture in 2014 in a blog post commemorating the second anniversary of the National Resources Conservation Service Unlocking the Secrets of the Soil campaign. This article celebrating David's contributions in soil conservation would remain mostly unviewed for many years, but eventually a Redditor laid eyes on it. 4 years later, on December 15th of 2018, David's photo was shared to the Meme Economy subreddit, a forum dedicated to both creating and predicting the growth of new meme formats. You can see that the now famous catchphrase ascribed to David is present here. It ain't much, but it's honest work. The joke was intended to be used in response or accommodating a post or caption that flexes an unusual but mostly unremarkable accomplishment, like the one you're seeing on screen now. It's like a post saying that you just downed an entire extra large cheese pizza from Pizza Hut by yourself without help. You add the "it ain't much but it's honest work" meme with it. Contrary to what you might think, David Brand never actually said "it ain't much but it's honest work." I've seen many various versions of the meme where it appears to be like a screenshot from a documentary and the text is made to look like documentary subtitles implying that he said this. But no, he never actually said this, at least on camera. As I just mentioned, that image is not even from a video. It was just a photo taken by the government. Why David's image was chosen for this meme, I've never really been able to ascertain that. However, I would theorize that the creators simply Google searched stock images of farmers and David's photo from the USDA government website was shown to this person. Google does tend to prioritize results from sources that it thinks are official, and a government one certainly fits that category. Needless to say, the meme ended up going viral after it was shared to Reddit and would become immensely popular throughout the early 2020s online. At first, David had no idea he had become a meme. Hell, he didn't even know what a meme was. He only found out about it a couple of years after its creation when a bank teller in his local community recognized him from the "it ain't much but it's honest work" photo.
Well, I really didn't know anything about it till I went to the bank probably a year and a half ago or so, and one of the tellers says, "You're a meme," and I says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And so she showed it to me, and she said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, I guess somebody took my picture. I should have got it registered or something. Maybe I could have made some money off of it." One of the ladies from NRCS, when the chief was here, and we kicked off the soil health movement on this farm, and she took that picture of me with that ready. So I'm pretty sure that Mrs. Johnson had taken that picture and somebody picked it up somewhere.
David embraced the meme and has spoken about his appreciation of it on multiple occasions. Because of the meme, his face was known around the world, and hopefully some of you now understand the important contributions to farming culture David made throughout his life. Even as he got up in years, David Brand continued managing his farms and educating other farmers on no-till sustainable practices. Sadly though, his work would be cut short under tragic circumstances. On May 18th, 2023, at 76 years old, David Brand was driving eastbound on Interstate 74. The man was returning from Champaign, Illinois, after picking up a load of red corn for use at his farm. At approximately 1:15 p.m., while near Urbana, Illinois, the farmer suddenly lost control of his vehicle and wrecked. It was a rollover crash so violent that David was ejected from his seat and thrown out onto the highway. David was later rushed to the Carl Foundation Hospital, where he was placed in a medically induced coma. Unfortunately, a few days later, on May 21st, 2023, at approximately 1:30 in the morning, he would succumb to his injuries and pass away. The man immortalized by an internet meme that emphasizes the value of hard work. This dude literally died on the job working to support his farm, his life's work. David Brandt will be remembered by most online for the meme that he's featured. However, I just hope people also acknowledge him as the farming legend that he is. Rest in peace to David Brandt, a highly influential no-till farmer that changed the way folks approach cultivation in the United States Corn Belt. In the grand scheme of things, it ain't much, but it was honest work. The heartless killing of Peanut the squirrel. Peanut, or stylized often as P-Nut, was an eastern gray squirrel owned by Mark Longer, a mechanical engineer from Connecticut. Back in 2017, Mark found Peanut after the squirrel's mother had been hit by a car in New York City. Unable to find a shelter willing to take him, Mark raised the squirrel himself, bottle feeding it for months until it recovered.
Goat milk formula for
Loves it.
Their goal was to get back to health and release him, and each day he got stronger.
At one point, Mark attempted to release Peanut back into the wild, but allegedly found him the next day sitting on his porch, missing half of his tail. Believing the squirrel couldn't survive on its own, Mark decided to keep Peanut as a pet. Eventually, Mark began posting videos of Peanut online, many featuring the squirrel playing with his cat, and they exploded in popularity, racking up hundreds of millions of views and attracting coverage from outlets like The Dodo and USA Today. The squirrel became a bona fide animal meme. During the rise of pet influencer culture in the late 2010s, Mark leaned fully into the trend, creating social media pages for Peanut, where the squirrel appeared in costumes and comedic skits. Over time, Peanut amassed nearly 1 million followers across platforms and became one of TikTok's most recognizable animal accounts. After Peanut's pages exploded online, Mark Longo used the money from the squirrel's popularity, along with some of his own content, to open an animal sanctuary called Peanut's Freedom Farm, which was in rural New York. The farm housed hundreds of rescue animals, and Peanut became the face of the operation. Mark also began rehabilitating a raccoon named Fred, who occasionally appeared in videos too. But there was a problem. New York has strict laws regarding wild animals, and keeping squirrels or raccoons without special licensing is illegal. According to Mark, he was in the process of trying to get Peanut certified as an educational animal. But before that could happen, authorities started investigating him after receiving anonymous complaints.
I heard like so many people are like, well, they reached out to you so many times. Like, no, the only time they reached out to me was to intimidate me and